All right, what's up, guys? Launching my YouTube channel. It's called The Unknown World. This is going to be a very awful video. It's my first time making a video. So, yeah, just going to really jump into it. Going to try to do as few cuts as possible. Um, just going to talk off the cuff and talk about world stuff, world politics, world events, and yeah, just see how it goes. So, in this video, it's a really niche topic. Something that I find kind of interesting and something I think is going to have a, excuse me, going to have to edit that out. Something that's going to have a really profound impact in the future, and that is PTSD in Israel, right? Um, it's a war society. They've been engaged in a war since October 7th, 2023, and it is currently September 4th, 2025. So over almost 2 years of war in a small society. Um, so let's just jump right into it. So I use this website, Israeli Association of Public Health Physicians, under the post-trauma section. You can just look this up. I mean, I looked it up in Hebrew and translated it to English. So, you know, this is what I used. They have a really good section on the stuff. So I just used a couple studies from there and other websites to and my knowledge of this topic, which is limited, but I did that. So let's see what we got here. So PTSD in Israel, right? So this says because of the war, about 20% of Israelis suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. A new study reveals more than half of the population lacks financial means to seek mental health treatment. High percentage does not receive mental health assistance due to the lack of therapists. Main reason for distress, concern for the kidnapped, uncertainty in economic situation, right? So let's jump into this article here. Right. So from this article, they did some study. And as you see here, it says, according to the findings, the rate of those suffering from the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder above the clinical threshold was 15% amongst the Jewish population and 12% amongst the Arab population. This compares to approximately 9% among the general population in Israel who suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder before the war. And that's an interesting topic, right? So there is an Arab population in Israel which are, you know, discriminated against depending on where you stand on this. This is a whole issue, a very complex issue and deep issue that I'm not going to be touching on in this video. I'm going to be mainly talking about PTSD in Israel amongst Jewish Israelis. A lot of the studies do include Arab Israelis, not even including, the people in Gaza and the West Bank, right? So it goes on. The study, which included 517 participants constituting a representative sample of the entire adult population in Israel, was conducted by Dr. Yal Enev and Dr. Yal Meir from the Faculty of Education at the University of Haifa, together with Dr. Ido Laura from the Shalvata Mental Health Center and Dr. Noga Shifhem from the Mayani Hayeshua Medical Center. God, I'm butchering this. I'm going to have to edit a lot more than I thought. But just getting up here and just talking, so you know. Yeah. Right. So let's go to another study here. So this one from the same website says a surge in the rate of combatants reporting post-traumatic symptoms. A study conducted by the head of the National Center for Trauma and Resilience at Tel Aviv University indicates an increase in reports of post-traumatic stress symptoms among combat soldiers who are having difficulty reporting for additional reserve duty. And recently in the news, as a side note, Israel is seeking to take Gaza City, and they called up 60,000 reservists. they were having trouble getting those reservists from inside of Israel. And there was a big push to get people from the diaspora, right? Mainly France and the United States, where the majority of diaspora Jews live. So that's an interesting topic, right? The study goes on to say this. The study began in August 2023, a month and a half before the outbreak of the war, in order to examine the psychological effects of the situation in Israel during the period of controversy over the coup. Right, so they're talking about the judicial reform protests that happened in Israel under Benjamin Netanyahu. Right, he tried to override the judiciary. I can't remember exactly what the effects were, but there were massive protests in Israel. Right, very upsetting to the people of Israel, and a lot of public discontent in Israel. Right. With the outbreak of the war, the study became particularly relevant to examining the effects of national trauma. The research surveyed 515 Israeli adults at 2 points in time, in August 2023, before the outbreak of the war, as a baseline measurement, and in May 2025, during the ongoing war. Participants completed questionnaires to assess levels of anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, cumulative stress, and emotional exhaustion. The unique measurement in this study examined the level of concern for the fate of the abductees and its relationship to psychological distress. The findings show that 48.7% of the participants met criteria for prolonged grief disorder relating to the abductees, even if they did not personally know any of them. In addition, 76% of participants reported concern about the government's handling of the abductee crisis, with about half reporting great concern. Right, so another area of contention inside of Israel is the government's handling of the abductee crisis, right? People will say that people like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir do not care about the hostages and simply want to push their goals in this war, whatever you think they might be. As of right now, there are not very many hostages left alive in Gaza. And yeah, that's that. So let's look at a Lancet article. Right, let's look at this. I think this was from the University of Haifa. I cannot remember. But let's read what this says here. A representative sample of 710 Israeli adults, 362 female, 51%, Jews, 557, 79%, and Arabs, 153, 20%. So this is seeking to, it's showing a sample relative to Israel, right? Israel is about 79% Jewish, 20% Arab, and I would assume 51% female, right? Anyways, aged 18 to 85 years. Completed the study at 2 time points, on August 20th to 30th, 2023, and on November 9th to 19th, 2023, 5 to 6 weeks after the attack. 34.2% of the 710 participants had direct exposure to the attack, and 131, 18.5%, had loved ones who were murdered, kidnapped, or injured during the attack. And the findings go on to say, probable PTSD prevalence almost doubled from 16.2 to 29.8, so 30% at the 2 time points, right? Before the attack, after the attack. With the prevalence of probable GAD, I'm not 100% sure what that means, and depression also increasing from 29.9% to 42.7%, and from 31.3% to 44.8%. Respectively, direct exposure to the attack was found to contribute to probable PTSD, obviously, and probable depression, obviously, right. So this is an interesting topic to me for a few reasons. PTSD causes people to be unhinged mentally, act in ways that are irrational, dangerous, and threatening to people around them and to themselves. Um, when you look at Israeli society, a topic that interests me, how is this going to affect Israeli society in the long run? Well, you can look up PTSD in Israel and you'll find, Reddit threads, some, not everyone likes Reddit, but it is real people talking about real things, right? Um, and they say that, you know, the the mental health faculties in Israel are stressed even before the war, are, struggling to meet the criteria. So it's really, and this has only been to, we're going to really see the effects in the long run, right? After this, in the next 5 to 10 years, who knows what Israeli society is going to look like? Who knows what Israel is going to look like, right? Only the future knows. Um, there's growing condemnation of Israel around the world. People do not like Israel. How's this going to affect Israel? Only time will see, right? There's also a point to be made that regardless of what you feel about the war in Gaza, the Israeli Arab conflict, the Israeli Palestinian conflict, Israeli Jews feel that they are doing the right thing. You know, um, you might feel this way, right? So does that help or hurt PTSD? Well, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit, because if you feel that you're doing a just thing, a righteous thing, you might not have as much PTSD as, let's say, someone from a war in Vietnam, right? Um, or the Iraq War, which people now view as not the most just war, right? Um, and even people that don't view this as a just war, it really doesn't matter in regards to the PTSD in Israel, because if Israeli Jews feel that it's just and that they're doing the right thing, that's really all that matters in regards to the PTSD in Israel. Um, but let's look at a video I found on Instagram. One sec here, sorry. Um, of this guy who seems to be, this is a big thing in Israel, right? Let's let the video play first. So you see that? So this is a big thing in Israel. Parties for people after the war, right? Who they go, they do drugs, they party, they dance to deal with the stress of war, right? You see this video of this guy running around with a cane, pretending to be a gun. Now, to play devil's advocate here for a second, I don't know if he is joking or what he's doing. Some of the comments say trauma. I happen to believe this is probably a guy that has trauma. You can go look at his Instagram and look at that and see for yourself. You can translate the Hebrew there if you want. I know it's kind of grainy. You might not be able to see it, but this is, you know, a common thing in Israel. Which also brings me to this movie I've watched called Flipping Out, right? Now, this movie, I believe, is from 2006, and it is in the aftermath of the 2006 Lebanon War, right? A big war in Israel. Israel did not do well in that war, and there was a lot of casualties in that war. Did not go well for Israel. Um, a big thing in Israel is people going to India and doing drugs and partying to deal with their stress, right? As is seen in this movie. This is a great movie called Flipping Out. You can look it up. I believe it's on the Internet Archive or Daily Motion. I can't really remember. Just look up Flipping Out Israel documentary free and you'll find it. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're interested in this topic, which I'm guessing if you click this video, maybe you are or maybe you aren't. I don't know. But it's there's a few people who have clear signs of PTSD act out in a very bad way. And this is from 2006, right? So, um, who knows what the future of Israel holds with PTSD. So, that's the video. Real shitty video, but, got to start somewhere. Um, I hope you find this topic interesting. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like me to do. I will do any. If you post something, I will do it, no matter what it is. Well, to a degree. Don't go crazy. No one's probably going to watch this video anyways, but if you do, like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, see you in the next video.